Okay, so today we're going to get into a topic that a lot of people struggle with, and that is fractions. Because, for instance, you see a lot of people struggling with, well, what is 1/8 plus 1/3, right? Or what is 1/16 plus 1/5? Yep. Right, and so there are various also permutations, combinations. So you can do 1 plus 3.5, minus 1 plus 1 minus 2.5. And so whoops. Let's go fix this. And so there are various ways to, we'll put a little question mark. So then there are various ways to basically address all these issues. And so what we're going to do is we're going to look at a couple of different ways of looking at fractions, but we're going to start off with just a little overview on the different topic areas we can cover. So, the first thing we would think about is the easiest of them all, which is the equivalent fractions. And within that, we're going to end up looking at the numerator, rator, slash the denominator, and so you're starting to see different combinations and permutations we can do with, like, adding, subtracting, division, and multiplication. And so what you'll find is that there are various ways to tackle all these types of addition, subtraction, multiplication we can do. So I'm just throwing out different ideas to give you, right? So one method could be using the it looks like ln, the least common denominator, or a common denominator. So there are various things, right? So this is just to give you an overview of the breadth and depth that we're going to go into with regarding fractions. So right now we're just going to start with, well, so right now we're going to start, what is a fraction? So what is a fraction? And so a fraction, we can say, we're trying to say is, I want you to keep this phrase in mind: how many equal parts of a whole. And so the simplest example, which is mostly used, is the example of a pizza pie. Right, so let's divide this into 4 parts. Right, so part 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So what we're trying to do is we're looking at the denominator. We've got to look at both the numerator, so I'll call this num, which is equal to the top, and the denom, which is equal to the bottom. And so when I want to figure out, what fraction, like what parts am I looking at? So first of all, we need to know how much we're dividing the parts into. So in instance, we divide this into 4 parts, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. So the total amount you can get of the entire pie is you could get 4 pieces, so 4 equal slices of pie. But how many slices am I going to take, right? So if I take 1 slice, so let's just shade that in, whoops, 1 slice. So how many slices out of 4 do we have left? So we have slice number 2, slice number 3, slice number 4. So that is equal to 3 slices. Or, I'll go here. How many slices did I, so this would be 3/4 would be the slices left over, which equals, I can fit here, leftovers. But how many slices did I take, right? So the shaded in is 1. How many slices did I take out of how many available slices? 4, right? Because we have 4 equal parts. So again, you could see how I use fractions in 2 different ways, right? So I use it to say how many slices I took, and then I also said how many slices are left over. Now the beauty of this is, and let me put on a fresh sheet. So I said I took 1 out of 4 slices, but there are 3 out of 4 slices remaining. So a good way to check is to see, well, when I add these up, these parts, do I get 1 whole? You're supposed to always get the whole number 1. You cannot exceed the whole number 1 because these are parts of a whole, right? So you have, again, I'll do this again. So this is 1 pizza, 1 whole pizza. And then how many parts did I divide it into? Well, I divided it into 4 parts, right? So the 1 whole pizza is divided into 4 parts. So now there are 2 ways to look at this. For how many slices did you take versus how many are left over. And so the sum of those will equal 1. Right? And so this is how we're using fractions in a more real, more applicable setting. Now, some people will say, well, what if you do 3/4 minus 1/4 to get 2/4, right? Well, what is that telling us? It doesn't really tell us. That doesn't really tell us anything, unless, right? Put it into the context of the pizza. Already 1 slice is gone. Now, from the remaining, how many? From the remaining, if I take another one of these equally divided pieces, how much of the remaining will I have left? You'll have 2/4 left, right? So you'll have 2 slices out of 4 slices left. And we also could have done this here as well, saying that, well, we had 4 out of 4 slices, and we ate 1. out of 4 slices. And we had another 1 out of 4 slices eaten, right? So 4 minus 1 minus 1 is 2, and we're we're not changing the bottom because this is how many total slices we have. So 2 out of 4 slices. Now, again, you want to put this in context of the meaning of what actually you're looking at. So we have 2 out of 4 slices left. Well, I might be getting a bit ahead of myself, but well, if we can reduce these, right, to get a really succinct, crisp idea of the entire pie, pizza pie, not just per slices, well, let me draw it up here. So we've been looking at it in terms of a per slice method, but now I'm trying to say, well, I want to look at it as, well, how much of the entire pizza do I have left, right? So, again, we'll do it into fourths, right? And so I took one slice. So I'm saying I have 2 out of 4 slices left. So how much is 2 out of 4 slices of the entire pizza? Well, that's just half a pizza, right? So you had one whole pizza right here, and now you have half a pizza. So you see how all of these things are starting to become interrelated with each other. How you can look at it in many different viewpoints depending on the question you're trying to answer, right? And we can always get a little bit complicated and say, well, she cuts this half into another half, which is 1/4, right? But I'm not trying to get into that, because then that gets into the other concepts, which is least common denominator, least common multiples, and all that, common denominators. But you see how just by looking at one thing, how we were able to use math to explain something simple as slices of pizza or how much pizza we have. So this is the power of understanding fractions in context with a practical instance, a practical example. You just don't have to look at this in terms of numbers like what's 3/8 plus 1/8, or 5/16 plus 7/8. So that's really good for trying to get your mathematical skills down. But you want to see, well, how does this apply? What am I going to do with 5/16 plus 7/8 of what, right? Of what? So when you put these fractions, these numbers into a setting such as like a slice of pizza, right? It makes the concept seem, or shows how applicable the concepts is into a real life practical setting. So anyways, I hope this helps, and so take care. And so in the next lesson, we'll be going down a bit deeper into what all this means, and how to use it more thoroughly.